right. All right.
When I was coming up, I'm just kind of drifting back. When I was coming up, the older ladies in the church would whoop you.
Yeah.
Then tell your mama. Mama would whoop you.
Right.
And then after mama whoop you, you would hate for her to say, I'm gonna wait till your daddy get home. You know daddy get home.
Oh, you're right.
I know. We have missed the mark, and that's why so many of our young people are so disrespectful. I was looking at the news. I was reading the Dallas Morning News on yesterday, and it was talking about how the crime rate in all the high schools have just really excelled, just over the mark. Even in my high school, the other day they had a fire drill. And in the fire drill, the principals and security should have locks and keys to the door. But some of the students got together and locked the doors on their own. So when the fire drill happened, nobody had a key to unlock the door because, can I help y'all? Can I help somebody here? Can I tell y'all something? We can't really tell the difference between the student and the teacher.
Right.
Because the parents won't come in and correct what's going on. I understand. Nobody move, nobody get hurt today. But I come to tell you, my brothers and sisters, our young people are drifting away, doing whatever they want to do. It's because we as parents are talking about, I got to get my groove on. Baby, you got your groove on 10, 20 years ago. Your groove ought to have been a smooth, worn out. But somewhere in there, you need to settle down and begin to raise your children because your children have been raised by themselves. They're looking at BET and MTV and everything up under the sun. But can I tell you something? You got to learn how to say to yourself, if your mama not doing it, grandma, guess what? You got to say to yourself, I'm going to take responsibility because I know this child has a blessing in them and I got to teach them how to be the best them. And can I tell you something? You can't teach them to be the best them when you acting like a fool. Yeah. Somebody say, Pastor, I don't cuss around my kids. That's when y'all supposed to shout me down. Pastor, I don't get an attitude around my kids. I don't drink around my kids. I don't smoke around my kids. My kids don't hear me gossiping. My kids respect me. Some of y'all can't say anything because your kids see you do everything up under the sun. They ain't gonna do nothing but what? Imitate what you're doing. They can't be the best you until you start being the best you. And I wish I had about 4 or 5 mothers to say to themselves, I know I hadn't done everything I can, but I can change today and start having prayer at home. Can I tell y'all something? I don't know about anybody else. But when I was growing up, all of my friends went to church.
You're right.
That's just me. All of my friends went to church. And so what happened is we would play church after church. Right. Can I tell you something? I guarantee our young people in here today don't have no friends that go to church. And so what happens is they're just like Joshua and Caleb. When they stand up and say, listen, God's going to bless us, their friends are saying, we don't know anything about the church, haven't been to church. The last time I went to church is when grandmother died. Can I tell all my young people something? That you have some friends, you have some classmates that don't go to church. You are the church. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm the church. I'm the church. You are the church. There's somewhere in there you ought to tell them if they don't go to Westminster, they need to go to Pleasant Hill, they need to go to True Believers, they need to go to St. Marcus, somewhere in there, they need to go to Russell United Methodist Church, but somewhere in there, they need to go to church, because can I tell you something, it's hard to live without God. You need God on your side. Can I tell you something? The reason why our young people do some things they know they shouldn't do is because their environment. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know how it is in school. Y'all know how I've been out of school a pretty good while, but y'all know how it is in school. You always want to be in the in crowd. Has anybody ever want to be in the in crowd? And what happens is in the in crowd, you want to be just like everybody else. But what you got to understand is you got to be the best you. You can't always be like everybody else. There's somewhere in there you got to do like Joshua and Caleb and say, listen, my mom and daddy taught me better than that. They taught me not to do drugs. They taught me not to have sex, premarital sex, and I'm not going to do it. I know the church don't talk about it, but can I tell y'all something? A lot of these young people who are talking about they're sexually active are just lying, they bluffing. I know. Can I just be real? That what happens is, my brothers and sisters, we got to learn how to teach our children about premarital sex and let them know that's an institution that the birds and the bees. When the birds get with the birds, guess what? They have other birds. When the bees get with the bees, guess what? They have other bees. Can I tell you something? I don't know about anybody else, but I'm struggling as it is. I don't need none of my children trying to have no extra kids because it's hard enough for me to take. Y'all ain't gonna help me here. I don't need them having nobody extra because it's hard enough for me to take care of them. So the devil is a lie. If I'm not gonna sit down and talk to my kids about sex, ain't no school gonna tell them about sex. The streets ain't gonna teach them about sex. I'm gonna tell them about sex.